All right, everyone, we're going to get started. Again, some of you know me. My name is Jarvis Houston. I am thinking I'm talking about my job in the United States. I am one of the co-founders of Black Travel Co. And we're here to talk about something important, wealth building. Of course, we have some of us have purchased property in the United States, some of us have purchased property in other countries, but we're here to talk about buying property in Colombia. I share my story many times on social media. When I first came to Colombia, I didn't believe it. I lived in New York when I was paying almost $2,000 a month for rent. And what I paid for my apartment in Colombia was me living in New York for about a year and a half. But what I paid for a lifetime of wealth building is about a year and a half in New York City. Let me repeat that. A year and a half in New York City brought me a whole apartment in Colombia. I paid $40,000 US in Colombia. I had a wonderful person that helped me, Lita, who was my attorney. She is my attorney. It's gonna always be gonna always be my attorney. Lita, who is bilingual. She lived in New York for 20 years. She lives in Colombia now. She is an excellent lawyer, and she helped me through the process. And when I first started looking, I was kind of, it's a foreign country. I don't want to, I heard a lot of horror stories. I don't want to buy a piece of property, then found out that, and this is a true story. Someone brought a piece of property. They found out someone sold the property without telling other family members that were also owners. And it became something that was in court for 2 years, and the person ended up losing the property. So again, the most important thing before you purchase a piece of property in Colombia is to make sure you have a good lawyer, and we have a good lawyer here by the name of Lita, who is excellent. And when I first started looking for my property, I started looking at various neighborhoods, and I wanted to look in the gentrified neighborhood. Imagine people 30 years ago that bought property in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. Imagine people 20 years ago that bought property in the South Loop of Chicago. Now you can't get anything in the South Loop of Chicago for less than 1.2 million. You can't get anything in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn for about, I think, for less than 1.5 million in some neighborhoods. But again, people started it in the beginning when people were scared to buy in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, in the South Loop of Chicago. Now they're some of the best neighborhoods in the country. Now I purchased my property in Teresa, which is a gentrified kind of on the fringe neighborhood, but I purchased my property for $40,000. I'm 2 blocks from the beach. I'm 2 blocks from the airport, and I can walk to Central, and I have a view of the mountains. I have a view of Central, and I have a view of the ocean. So imagine how many places in the world do you know that you can look at the ocean, you can look at the mountain, and you can look at downtown in one 360 view? That's something that's priceless, that's more than $40,000 to anything else. So again, we're really excited to, excuse me, why's my phone ringing? Excuse me. Excuse me, everyone. All right. So talking about my story again. And once I saw the property that I want, I went on the balcony, I saw the view of the mountains, I saw the view of downtown, and I saw the view of the ocean. I said, I want this apartment. So once I decided I wanted the apartment, I negotiated. In Colombia, everything is negotiable. I negotiated with the owner because the furniture was already in the apartment. I already had the air, everything was already there. And I said, okay, I want to buy it with the furniture. So we negotiated till we got to the price that we both agreed on. And then from there, the second thing you're going to ask, you want to buy the property. How are you going to transfer the funds? How are you going to transfer $50,000, $200,000, $300,000 to Colombia? I used a firm called Acciones and Valores. Everyone on this call has heard of Charles Schwab before. They're like the Charles Schwab version in Colombia, like Charles Schwab in Colombia. I used them to transfer my funds, and I saved thousands of dollars because I'm their client. I work for them, which means they're going to give me a good exchange rate. If you transfer your funds, the best advice Lita gave me was, Jarvis, do not transfer your funds bank to bank because you will lose. So I did not transfer my funds bank to bank. I transferred my funds from my bank in the United States to Acciones Bank in the United States. Then they transferred the funds from their bank in the United States to my brokerage account in Colombia. Then they gave me a check, no transfer, a check. So when I signed the lease with the owner, after we signed the lease, I gave them a check, and then Lily and I walked with the owner to the bank for them to deposit the check. And then from there, once the check was cleared, we received the keys. I called Lily. We celebrated. We didn't have no champagne. We celebrated, but I had my property for about a year and 4 months. Every now and then I Airbnb it for about $80 a night. So again, you can turn your property in somewhere you can stay. Also, you can turn your property into number one wealth building. And Cartagena is one of the most popular tourist attractions. It gets bigger and bigger by the year. It's extremely popular. They're building a Four Seasons in Cartagena. Four Seasons is not coming to anywhere that's not going to generate a lot of funds. So again, Cartagena is blowing up and becoming extremely popular. Medellin is coming extremely popular. So now in Colombia, so many people are coming. So now this is the time where you can, and the dollar is very high. Extremely important to know, the dollar is very high. So if you want to buy a piece of property, this is the time to buy it when the dollar is high. I bought my piece of property, for example, when the dollar was about 38 pesos to the US dollar. At one time, I think about a month ago, it was 5,000 pesos to the US dollar. I'm not a math major, but if I knew something was 5,000 pesos to the US dollar, I think I'm going to save thousands of dollars, and I'll spend $200,000 on the property. Maybe I'll save about 20. I'm not a math major, but everyone gets what I'm saying. So briefly going over to run the show. Welcome from me, best practices. Buying property, we're going to have a story from Malcolm, who purchased a piece of property in Colombia. Mariko is going to speak about his experience buying a piece of property in Colombia. The great leader, my attorney, our attorney, Mariko's attorney, everybody's attorney, he's going to talk about the best practices to buy property in Colombia to protect your assets and also make sure you do everything right and to protect yourself. And then the fabulous Elisa will speak, who owns a real estate company in Colombia. We'll talk about real estate one-on-one, talk about your budget and what you need to do and some steps what you need to do to buy a piece of property in Colombia. Then we have Q&A, and then we will close. Does that work with everyone? Okay, so again, my name is Jarvis Houston. Thank you from Black Travel Co. We're here talking about wealth building and buying property in the greatest country in the world, Colombia, in my opinion, of course. So now, without further ado, I'll let Malcolm talk about his experience buying property in Colombia. Malcolm. And Malcolm, you have 5 minutes. And again, I work in politics. I'm a timekeeper. So as soon as you're talking, as soon as 5 minutes is over, then I'm taking you off. Malcolm.
What's up? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, man. My name is Malcolm. I'm out here from Atlanta, Georgia. I came to Colombia maybe 2 years, like right before Corona started here. I came before and then I came after, and I was coming so much, that I just decided to buy something because this was just like different. You know what I'm saying? My experience was hectic. It was crazy, but Jarvis definitely helped me out. He definitely did. I'm vouching for my mans. He helped me out. I'm gonna just say this, man. You gotta find the right people, man, because you will get got out here. You gotta find the right people. You gotta get like 3 referrals. You know what I'm saying? 3 for 1 person out here, man. They don't play out here. Basically, I found a spot actually next door to Jarvis. I paid it was going for $35K, and my budget was right in my budget. So I went and I just cashed out, man. But I'm thinking I'm in America. Nah, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. So I had to go I followed what Jarvis was telling me. I did what I had to do, but this was the time when the currency was falling though. So the gas prices was going up, which means the dollar was falling. So my 35 was because they have to check your balance. They have to check your the way your money comes from. So I had to get my bank statements from like 3-4 months. It took them like 2 weeks to check that out. So while at 2 weeks, dollar was going down and my price was going. So after about 2 weeks, I had to pay like an extra 2 grand. So my apartment went for like maybe about 37, 38 grand just in 2 weeks. So and it was bare. I didn't have no walls, no kitchen, no nothing. So I paid a constructor. On top of that, I probably put like 5 to 6 grand on top of that. And I'm happy, man. I'm happy. I quit my job last week. I said, adios, bro. Like, I love it here, man. So I quit my job before I even found another job. And that's working backwards, man. But hey, I'm a risk taker. I don't care. So I quit. I mean, of course, I got some stuff saved up, you know what I'm saying? But I got to go back to the United States this week, and I'm coming back in like 3 more days, and then I'm planning on staying out here for like 2 months, man. So yeah, that's my story.
Yeah, so it's very important to know with Malcolm's story. The difference between us, when I purchased my apartment, it already had furnished, everything was finished. When he purchased his apartment, it was just a shell. So he had to pay a construction company, which everyone on there paying $6,000 to someone to build your whole house is not a lot of money compared to what we pay in the United States. $5,000 in the United States, you might get a kitchen cabinet if you're lucky. But he got a whole apartment for about $6,000. Am I right, Malcolm? Kitchen, everything.
Yeah,
That was your budget. Am I right?
nothing in there, man. It was nothing. It was the bear. I actually was so crazy. The guy is literally upstairs. He's my next door neighbor. So he did the construction. He hit me for like 6 grand. I'm totally satisfied. My joint is looking real sparkly, and I'm happy, man. Yeah, $5,000, $6,000 is getting you nothing in America at all. Nothing. Yeah.
So again, so again, you have different types of people that buy purchase property in Colombia. Someone that buys a shell and builds it up. Someone like me that just purchased an apartment that's already finished. And I know another gentleman that purchased his apartment back maybe about purchased he purchased land about maybe 30 minutes from Colombia. Then he purchased a house he built a house from the ground up for his mom and him. And I think he paid maybe about $120,000, $140,000 for everything. So he got a house for mother, he got a house from him, and he built it all up from nothing. All he did was purchase the land first. But again, the construction for him was not that expensive compared to what we pay in the United States. So again, thank you, Malcolm. So now we're going to move on to Mariko Edwards, a good friend of mine. We both attended Howard University. He's my fraternity brother. Very, very intelligent gentleman. So Mariko, tell us about your process. I know you paid a little bit more than us broke folks. I'm joking.
So first of all, Malcolm only took 2 minutes of his 5 minutes, so I'm gonna take the rest of his 3 minutes plus my 5 minutes. Right? Is that good with you?
You're good. You're
right.
good. You're good.
Well, the first thing I want to say is thank you to Jarvis. I visited Colombia for the very first time in May of 2022. I chose Colombia over a number of other different places because I knew people on the ground, primarily Jarvis. When I got there, I was like, I always wanted to buy property on or near water. And I hadn't really heard of Colombia. I heard of Dominican Republic and Costa Rica, but it was something about Colombia that appealed to me. So before I left, I said, Jarvis, I need to know who you know in Colombia. And he told me about Lita. I found Elisa on Facebook through a guy named Ray. And then I asked Jarvis, hey, did you know this Elisa? Because I trust Jarvis to the max. He goes, oh yeah, I know Elisa. So at that point, I knew I had 2 people that came from Jarvis that I didn't really have to vet. I didn't have to call references because he knew them. So I had planned a second trip to come to Colombia because I knew I was going to buy property. And I said, hey, Elisa, send me properties. I don't know what neighborhood I want to be in, but I know I want to buy in Colombia, in Cartagena in particular, because I have a love for the water. So about 3 weeks before I actually came back from my second visit, Elisa sent me a listing of about 8 properties. And literally the very last property, I looked at it, I was like, that's interesting. And so Elisa's partner, another person named Elisa, we call Allie, sent me a video of that condo. So I'm a little different from probably most people on here. I don't have to physically go and see the property. I know what I like. And when I saw that video, my budget didn't matter. I trusted Elisa. I trusted Jarvis. I trusted Lita. And I responded, I want that property. And so literally the next day I made an offer. So everybody may not be that bold or risk-taking, but the process that followed after that, for me, it was not that difficult. I established an account with Acciones and Valores. I transferred my money. The key is, if you know you want to buy in Colombia, whether you do Charles Schwab or Acciones and Valores or some other company, make sure your money is already there, because property moves fast. If you see something you like, you want to make sure your money is in place to be able to make the offer, put down a deposit, and move forward. So I hadn't seen personally the property that I bought, which, as Jarvis mentioned, was a lot more than $50,000. I won't even say how much it was, but it was a property that appealed to me. It was close to the water. It had a view of the city. It had a view of the mountains. And I knew I had people that I knew, liked it, and trust that were going to guide me in the right way. So my recommendation to everybody who is listening, so whether your budget is $50,000 or more, hire the right people. If Jarvis recommends someone to you, know that they come. You don't have to do any they're good, they're solid. Make sure your money is already in the country. And if you see something you like based on a video, then trust the people that you have on the ground. Call Jarvis. Hey, what do you think about Marbella? What do you think about Boca Grande? What do you think about, and then trust what don't have to say, well, I got to come back in a month. I got to physically see the property, because guess what? Somebody like me might see that property and buy it. And all of a sudden you've lost out on a great opportunity, because you have to physically come, physically see, physically inspect. Trust the people that you have on the ground if you can't be on the ground. So that's my story. Well, here's the other thing. So when I bought my property, it was brand new from the developer. So the one sort of issue that I encountered that Elisa was very instrumental in helping me with is buying furniture. So my property is more of a high-end luxury. So you can't find a lot of high-end luxury property in Cartagena. You have to go to Bogota, you have to go to Medellin, or you have to order it. So that's another thing to consider, depending on the type of property. If you buy an unfurnished property, think about what level of property do you want, or what level of furniture do you want in the actual unit. And that's where Elisa and her team were very, 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 very resourceful in helping me to do that. So, so my property, I'm actually coming to Colombia on Sunday to be the first person sort of staying in my condo. It's a penthouse condo in Marbella, and but it's a beautiful property.
Make sure you make a copy of the keys for me. Just make sure you get that done first.
well, first of all, there are no keys. There's no keys. There's a code.
Just give me the code. That's all I need. Keys, code don't matter. I need access.
Access. All right, I got you. But listen, guys, Jarvis is a very resourceful individual. If you know him, you like him, you trust him. If he gives you a recommendation, my recommendation to you is trust his recommendation, move forward, make sure your money is in place to make quick moves. Trust Elisa, trust Lita, because they know what they're doing in Colombia. Whether you're in Cartagena, Medellin, they're good folks. So, but I'm very happy with my purchase. I will be spending more and 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 more time in Cartagena and in the country of Colombia. Thank you.
So thank you, Mariko. So if you're in Cartagena, Mariko is going to be having a party soon in this new apartment. So get ready.
Probably in March. I won't be
in March. All right.
In March. It'll probably be the end of March. So yeah.
All right. So we're gonna have a nice housewarming. And as Mariko said, if you listen to Malcolm and Mariko, they said a couple things. They followed the system, and the system starts with finding a property, identifying their attorney, using Acciones and Valores as your brokerage firm to transfer your funds to make sure you get the highest rate, and then making sure that your lawyer, going to look at the property or looking at the video of the property. So you got to follow the playbook. And I wrote a playbook. I put it on Facebook on the Black Travel Code Facebook group page. But again, we already have a playbook. All you got to do is follow the playbook. And when Lisa talks, and let's say you're thinking like, okay, I wanna Airbnb my property, but I don't know anyone in Colombia. So between Elisa and I, we also do property management. So if you need someone to manage your property, your Airbnb, we're here. We got great people on our team, great trustworthy people. We have a cleaning team. We have people that will help make sure that your property is perfect. That nothing happens with your property. Because again, you have to protect your assets. And to protect your assets in another country, you need the right people to protect your assets. And that starts with making sure you have the right people on your team. So again, moving on. Again, now we have leaders that's going to talk. We have Elisa, and then we're going to have a quick Q&A before we close out the call. So again, without further ado, my first wonderful attorney, Rico's wonderful attorney, Lita.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jarvis, thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation. Mariko, thank you so much for your words. Lisa is not just my friend, but a great partner in this type of business. And so basically, I just want to explain who I am very briefly. I am, as Jarvis mentioned, I'm a lawyer in Colombia. I have more than 10 years of experience in Colombia as a lawyer, but I'm also a licensed lawyer in the US, specifically in New York. And I have a law office in Cartagena, specialized in foreigners who want to invest in Colombia. I do everything like real estate contracts, purchasing properties, and I do also foreign investment and visas. So I can advise a person who wants to come here to Colombia on all the process of since buying the property until you get your visa and register the foreign investment. So I will be happy to share my information if anybody wants to at the end of the conversation. So basically, Jarvis, you told me to ask to talk about what to do.
Correct.
Is that what you want me to talk, right?
The playbook, the legal playbook.
And I have 5 minutes.
Of a van partner. Yeah.
Okay.
No, you got more. You got 10 minutes. You're good.
I got 10 minutes. Okay, so I don't want to
take your time.
hopefully make you bored. So anyway.
Tome su tiempo. You good. You good.
Oh, hey,
Okay,
by the way,
perfect.
I hate to cut you off, leader. I'm gonna have like 30 seconds of your 10 minutes. There's
Okay.
another guy on this call named Ray. I hired him as my luxury property manager, recommendation from Elisa. Great guy. I've done my research on him. So if you do buy property in Cartagena or in Colombia or Mexico, you might want to reach out to Ray. Great guy, great service, private clients, Airbnb clients, good dude. Anyway, so I'm sorry about that, Lita. My bad.
Don't worry, it's fine. Okay, so basically, my recommendation, so you need to follow the process in Colombia. Don't cut corners. Find the right people. At trusted real estate, do the research on prices, specifically in Cartagena. The realtors, there is not like a listing like in the US, multiple listings, or different realtors give you different prices. So you really need to find somebody that you trust so that you get the right price for your property. Also, negotiation, it's okay to negotiate the price. Is, as Marieko said, also you need to have the cash available. There is no loans that foreigners can get in Colombia. So you need to have the cash and you need to have it ready. Ideally, you should have the cash before you buy the property here in Colombia. There are different ways that you can send the cash. You can open a account like Jarvis mentioned with a firm. There are different firms like brokerage firms. One of them that we work with, and because they are excellent, they're very good, they're fast. You can do everything online with them. You don't need to be present here in Colombia to open an account. It's Acciones and Valores. They are based in Medellin, but we have worked with them so many times and they are very easy to work with.
Mhm.
You just need to provide the information they require for them to open the account for you. And once the account is open, you can just send the money to that account and have the money there ready so that you can buy. That's one way to do the process. And another way to do it is to pay directly to the owners of the property. But if you do that way, it will be a little bit, it's a little bit more complicated, a little, because it has to be structured in a certain way that you are protected. So yeah, this is why I will say that those are the two ways. And also you can negotiate the rates as well. So to find the best rate, when you send the money, you negotiate the rate with the banks, and then you get the exchange rate that is the best for you. You should also be aware that the dollar in Colombia fluctuates a lot. At this moment, the dollar is going a little bit low. As Jarvis said, there was a point that it was 5,000, now it's 4,500, but it goes up and down, up and down. So you have to, ideally, when you negotiate, the ideal is to negotiate in pesos. So you have this clear and you don't have issues with the exchange rate. You know how much money you need and you have it, and that will not be an issue. Also, very important, when you buy properties in Colombia, you should do a title search. So you should hire a lawyer that is trusted. Do not ever send money to buy properties to a lawyer. I just had a phone call from somebody who told me that an American client, it was not my client, sent $80,000 to a lawyer's account and the lawyer disappeared with the money. This is not common here. No, it's not like the lawyers in the US. I know people, the lawyers have the trust accounts, and usually lawyers do not disappear with money, and they have like these ethical rules that they have to follow. In Colombia, do not ever send money to your lawyer. It happens, and it has happened, and you should really be careful with that. 1 second. The title search. So the process of buying a property. So you find the property, you negotiate the price. Then when you have the property and negotiate the price, you contact the lawyer, and the lawyer should do something that is called title search to make sure that the property is clean, that there are no liens against the property, that the property doesn't have any tax liens, that there is no debts, that everything is up to date. Then once you have that, you can, the next step is to do a contract. If you have cash, you can buy the property right away. You don't need to draft a promise to sell, but it's customary in Colombia. And that's what people do, that they do a promise to sell first, and they usually pay anything between 10 to 30% down payment. And then the balance is paid at the closing date. So there are two steps: promise to sell and closing date. Everything has to be done at a notary, which is you get together. Everything can be done by power of attorney. I have done it so many times with clients of mine that they don't want to come for the closing. I do everything by power of attorney. I do not receive money, but you can just sign the power of attorney, and a lawyer, in my case, I will do everything for you without you even coming to the closing. I will prepare everything and sign by power of attorney. Another thing, you do not need to have a visa to buy a property in Colombia. As a foreigner, you can buy properties, no problem with your passport. The other thing you need to do is that you could also create a company and buy the property under the company's name, depending on the situation. That's another option. To open a company in Colombia, you do not need to have a visa either, as with a passport, and this can be done also remotely with powers of attorney. The next step after is very important steps. Do not agree to pay outside in the US in dollars. some people own properties in Colombia and they have accounts outside and they prefer getting the money outside. There are two reasons why you should not do that. One is if you want a visa to live in Colombia, the money has to be coming through Colombia, through a Colombian bank, and register this with the central bank as foreign investment. So you can get a visa through your investment. That's one thing. And second thing, if you don't know register the investment in the central bank, you could be sanctioned when, if, for example, in the future, you want to take the money out of Colombia, that could create problems and complications if the investment was not registered. And that's why I recommend to do it through a wire transfer to a bank in Colombia and register the investment. Another thing I have to tell you is that, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna, I have a list here. Oh yeah, after the deed is signed with the notary, the deed has to be registered for the purchase to be completed. It has to register with the registered office, and that should be done immediately, because until the deed is registered, the ownership doesn't pass to the new owner. So there are two different steps that you need to do: the deed and register the deed with the register. Very important to get the keys to the property. Another thing I wanted to tell you: a lot of people want to buy properties for Airbnb. So when you do that, you should do the due diligence to make sure the building allows Airbnb rentals. At least in Cartagena, a lot of buildings do not allow that. And you cannot, if the building bylaws do not allow rentals, short-term rentals, the only thing you can rent is per month. And that, maybe Alisa will talk about that, that will affect the price of the property. But you should need to make sure what kind of property you want to buy and the use you want to give to this property. If it's Airbnbs, that needs to be researched before you purchase the property, so that you make sure that you can rent it as Airbnb and rent it per day. Another thing is that there's other regulations in Colombia that they are now happening, is that with the Airbnb, if you have a property that you rent for tourism, you have to get something that's called Registro Nacional de Turismo, which is a registration card that you need to get. And there are some steps that you need to do that. So you need to investigate all the laws and make sure that you follow them, because there are laws in Colombia as well, and it's in the US or everywhere in the world, and you should follow the rules so that you avoid penalties and you avoid headaches, and everything is under control. What else? Another thing I will recommend for people to do, the visas. For the visas, depending on the type of visa, you want a 3-year visa or 5-year visa, depending on the type of the investment. At least you, depending on the dollar exchange, is about $9,000 that you need to invest so that you can get a visa as a real estate owner. Let me see. Oh yeah, another thing I recommend people to do after you have the property registered in your name is to create a trust, so that if something happens to the owner of the properties, you died, you can transfer this property to your loved ones in the US or wherever you are without going to a court proceeding. You just do it's called escritura pública trust, like a trust document that you will tell who you want the property to pass to in case that you died. And that's something that I can do for you as well. Also, by the way, this is very important for Jarvis as well. The property taxes deadline is coming up in March 31st. And you want to get discount. There are like discounts for early payment. This is the moment to look into that. Jarvis, I'm gonna look into your property so I can send you the bill so you can pay the property and don't get the discount. I'm gonna do that. That's something that you do every year. You need to pay property taxes. And right now in Cartagena, at least, it's a big increase in some tax law that is like a mess right now. But I'm gonna get it to you, Jarvis. And if anybody needs advice on that, I will be able to help. What else? I think that's it. the guarantee, the trust, the visas. Oh, one thing I would like to also recommend, ideally, you should be aware of pre-construction. Buying pre-construction properties in Colombia is risky. You need to, you can, it's the advantage of buying a pre-construction company is that you can get the, how do you call the market rates? Like you could get, no, it's called, oh my God, I forgot the name for that word in Spanish. The price is lower when you buy a pre-construction company, property, but it's very risky. It's not rare in Colombia that buildings don't get finished and that people lose money on these pre-construction companies. Not every time, but it happens. So you need to do due diligence, and it's something I can help with to investigate that the companies have all the permits for construction, that the financial situation of the companies. You need to make sure that the builder has the stability, that there are all the permits, so that at least if you take that chance to buy a pre-construction company, you know what you're doing and you don't risk your money. I think that's it. Oh yeah, one more thing. When you buy properties in Colombia, do not agree to sign documents, the deed for a lower price. Colombians they have the custom to put on the deed a lower price of sale, so they pay less taxes. And that's against the law. And if you get caught, there are big penalties for that. So I will not agree to that, just especially when you have to deal with foreign investment, sending money through the bank. That's something that you should not allow to happen. I think that's it. I don't have anything. I don't know if you want to open for questions, if anybody has any.
Yeah,
And-
we're going to do credit. We're going to do questions at the end because I know we're going to prepare Lisa to talk. As Lita said, it's very, very important. And I sent over in the chat the steps that you should take, the best practices steps. And this is Lita. Lita was talking to me one day. I took notes and then I just put all this together. So these are the best practices you need to take for purchasing a property in Colombia. And again, you have to follow these steps. And as Lita said, it has horror stories, but you can avoid all the horror stories is again if you follow the playbook. So again, thank you, Lita. And again, if you need a wonderful lawyer to provide legal advice in Colombia, it doesn't have to be bad property. Lita also helped me with my visa for Colombia. So it could be anything related to anything legal. And again, my apartment, for example, we don't do Airbnb, but you could do long-term rental. But it's also another part of my building that does Airbnb, but it's Colombia. So stuff happens. But again, you have to do your due diligence on everything to make sure before you make that type of investment that you're completely comfortable and you know everything that's happening with your property. Because again, you own the property. You don't, once you buy your property with cash, you don't owe the bank anything. Your name is on a deed. You don't owe anybody anything. You're the outright owner. And as Lisa said, it's very important to get a trust just in case something happens to you and you have a trust. Do not get a will. I'm gonna tell you why you should not get a will. Lita gave me this advice. Let's say your mom is on a will and she's getting a divorce to her husband. And then the husband says, well, I want part of the property too. But if the trust completely protects your assets and it goes directly to the person that it should go to, and it's not complicated. So again, always have a trust. You buy a piece of property, have a trust to protect, not only to protect your assets, to make sure the government don't take it, that goes to the loved one if something happens to you. So again, thank you, Lita. So again, I'm going to have Lisa. Lisa, if you want to rent a boat, Lisa does a little bit of everything, but one of the main things that she does in Colombia is real estate and helping people buy property. And not only helping people buy property, once they buy property, as Mariko said, she helped them with the furniture. She helped them identify somebody to manage the property. So it's almost working with us. It's a 360, meaning anything that you need. We're like Walmart. We provide or a kitchen cabinet. We have everything that you need to be successful for buying property or just coming to Colombia in general? So without further ado, Elisa.
Hello, everybody. I don't want to take too much time and I don't want to go through a lot of specifics and details, but I just want to talk about real estate for a moment in general in Colombia, but in Cartagena specifically, because I'm from New York, I'm from the US, and it is completely different than it is in the United States. And every time I say this to people, they think that I don't know if they think it's BS, but it just sounds very foreign to us that are from North America because it's very different here. People tend to be very nervous about investing in real estate in foreign countries, and that's understandable. But real estate and property values in Cartagena do not go down. And every time I say this to people from the United States, everybody looks at me sort of like cross-eyed saying, how is that possible? It's for a number of different reasons. The primary reason is because a lot of the housing market in the US is driven by interest rates. And we don't have fluctuation in interest rates in Colombia at all. Interest rates are extremely high. It's very, very difficult to get mortgages. So interest rates is not something that makes it a buyer's or seller's market per se. And specifically in Cartagena, because it's the most touristic city in the country, it not only draws an enormous amount of international tourism, but you also have all national tourism coming here. Everybody from all other parts of Colombia want to come to Cartagena. That's what drives the market and the prices. So the prices in real estate are just very consistently going up, like little by little by little, they just keep getting higher. They do not ever go down. I've been living here in Cartagena for 5 years. And even in 2020, in the midst of COVID and the lockdowns, I was looking for all these opportunities. I was thinking, oh, things are going to drop, prices are going to drop. It's going to be more inexpensive places to buy, but it didn't happen. Everything just kept going up very, very steadily. Prices just kept increasing like they always do. So if you're nervous about investing in Colombia or Cartagena because it's your first time investing in property or your first time investing internationally, I would say you do not have to worry about a market drop like we're used to in the US. It doesn't happen here. It just really does not happen here because it's just a completely different market entirely. That said, my company, we're not a realtor. We don't call ourselves a realtor. We're more sort of investment advisors. So if you're looking to purchase an apartment, we just guide you through the process from A to Z. And we work in conjunction with Lita, who handles all the legal matters and all of the properties. But what we do is we really advise you based on your budget, which is the best neighborhood that you should purchase in based on how you can, if you're looking to have a property that's you're using for vacation rentals and Airbnb, how you can keep your occupancy percentage the highest in different neighborhoods, not even different neighborhoods, but even specific buildings that are maybe more advantageous than others. So we don't push you towards one place or another. We just tell you like the facts on every specific neighborhood and literally every single building, advantages and disadvantages, and we just guide you through the whole thing. We also offer additional services like Mariko was mentioning. If you happen to purchase something in a brand new building that doesn't have furnishings, we can handle that for you, or something that needs some modifications or some construction to do some updates, we can help you with that as well. We connect you with management companies if you need someone to manage the property for you. We're just sort of an all-around service. We hold your hand from literally A to Z. And that's it. I want to sort of leave more time, I think, for a question and answer, because I think rather than me talking in extensive detail about a lot of the little details and legalities and all the tiny points, We go through that with each client individually, and we make sure that each client is super comfortable with everything, that everything is explained in explicit detail so that everyone's really comfortable with the transactions. So I don't want to talk a lot about tons of little details. I think that maybe that could be answered specifically for people that are attending in Q&A.
Great, great. So thank you so much, Elisa. So we have about 10 minutes left. This is a perfect time to go into Q&A. So if you have a question, please put the question in the chat. And then either Leader, myself, Malcolm, or Marika will answer the question for you, depending on the question. So everyone can get started. Just go into the chat. This question is for Lisa. Do you work in Medellin as well?
Yes, we have just recently expanded to Medellin. Full transparency, and anybody who's ever worked with me knows that I deal with a completely transparent manner. We just expanded there. I personally I don't have as much knowledge as I would like to have in Medellin yet, but I have been several times, and we have an affiliate and a partnership there. So if you're interested in Medellin, yes, we can connect you with the proper people for sure.
Okay, so thank you. So this question is from Chris Rary. Hope I'm saying it right. Do you need homeowners insurance?
No, you do not need homeowners insurance. It's not something that's required. It is very uncommon here.
Okay, thank you. This question is for Brian. What's the process with selling your property, and how difficult will it be if one wants to sell their property in the future?
It's actually super simple. It's simple. It's different here in Colombia. There's no exclusivity with listings, but basically you would tell me or any realtor firm that you're looking to sell your property, and it's not difficult to sell at all. Honestly, one of our biggest challenges specifically here in Cartagena is having sufficient options for our clients because the demand is so high. It's not hard to sell something.
Thank you. So again, Lisa answered that question. This message from this question from Will Barb. Do you have a list of what is available condos?
We do not. So because we're not a realtor, we don't have a catalog of listings that we keep current, so to say. It's a much more personalized service that we offer. We say it's more like a concierge. So when a client hires us, what we do is meet with them and find out what their specific requirements are, specifically for what they want, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, budget, everything. And then we actually have our team go out and find it for them. So because we have so many clients and it's very fluid and we're doing this all the time, we of course know, several properties that are currently available, but things do not last long on the market here. So we don't hold we don't have a website where we have a ton of listings. No, I mean, I guess that's the simple answer. We don't. We have a website, but we don't have listings on it. We actually go and find properties that are appropriate for you and your needs and what it is that you're looking for that fit within your budget.
So just to piggyback on that, so if anybody on this session is interested in Colombia, I impress upon you, you have to trust, if you're going to hire Elisa, trust that she is going to guide you into the right community and area based on what your requirements are. But if you have to physically come here to visit the properties parties aren't going to last. So you have to actually trust them. If they send you listings, you have to look at the photos, the pictures, the videos, and then decide, I want this property. And then trust Elisa and Lita to tell you pros and cons, and then you decide very quickly and then have your money ready to actually make your move.
All right, thank you.
It is, if I can for 1 sec, it's a very uncomfortable thing for a lot of people, but The reality is that a lot of properties don't last very long. So we routinely have investors that and clients that work with us that put offers sight unseen, because you do hire us to protect your interests. We work for you, and we want to make sure that the property that you purchase is going to perform for you, and you're going to make money off of it if what you're purchasing the property for is for Airbnb and strictly for investment, not somewhere that you're looking to live. We really do try to find what is specifically best for you. And what Mariko is saying is true, that we do have a lot of people that put offers sight unseen. If you're not able to be here, we are your eyes and ears, so to say.
Got you. Thank you so much. Lisa, next question. We're almost at time, but I'll quickly do it. Yusuf, what are the tax implications, both from the US side as well as the Colombian side, as American citizens opening up bank accounts? I can answer that question. So it depends. Malcolm does not have a visa, but he opened up a bank account with BBVA. I have a visa, and Lita helped me open up a bank account with Itaú. So it depends. You can go into a bank of Colombia, and if you meet the right manager, he can open up an account for you. So it depends. But is it easier to open up a bank account when you have a visa? Of course. But can you open up a bank account depending on the bank? So BBVA is a good example because they have branches in the United States. It was easier for Malcolm to open up an account with them, but it'd be harder to open up an account with Bank Colombia, which is a Colombian bank, for example. So it really depends, but it is easier if you have a visa. Moving on to Raul, if I like a property, will I be able to get comps? I don't understand that question.
I understand it.
Okay.
No, you won't.
No.
Unfortunately, here in Colombia, there's not an MLS system or a system that's set up to give comparable values like there is in the United States. However, that's why you work with somebody like me and my business partners in my company, because we know what properties go for. We do not let our clients pay more per square meter here, because it's not square foot, per meter here, than what an apartment is actually valued at. We know what things are going for in not only specific areas, but actually specific buildings, what properties are going for. So that's where we come in to make sure that we know things that have been sold recently, and we can tell you whether it's something we've sold or colleagues have sold. But there is not an appraisal process here in Colombia like there is in the States, unfortunately.
Thank you. Next question from Spoolie. Property taxes. How does that work? Average cost of looking at condos downtown, or meaning the central Boca Grande area.
I can answer that.
Go ahead, Lita.
I'm just gonna answer the part of the taxes, how it works. So, and then you can answer the other one and the cost. So for taxes, there is tax law that depending on the price of the property and depending on the estrato, because in Colombia, we have estrato 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which means that the poor neighborhoods, they pay lower rates. Estrato 6, they pay the highest rate. Being if the property is estrato 1, the rate is 2 times 1,000 over the property price that is registered with the tax property. That is usually not the market price, it's a little bit lower usually. And estrato 6, which is Boca Grande, which is the area that is more expensive, Castillo Grande, the tax rate is 8.5 times 1,000. So that's kind of, there is a percentage that you need to pay, and you pay that property tax every year. The deadline is March 31st.
That's it.
That's it for my side. The rest,
All right.
they are asking the cost of condos in the downtown area. So that I
So the next person is Ray. Any unknown fees that we have yet to discuss? Unknown barriers. I think that's a deeper discussion, Ray. So reach out to us, and then you can talk to Lita or Lisa or myself. You have question, but that's a deeper question. This question is from Alexis. Lisa, if we identify properties in Medellin, can we bring the list to you?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. This question is from Spoolie. What should we already have and or know prior to moving forward with hiring your company for consulting? This is for you, Elisa.
Wow, what should you know?
You should know Jarvis. You should know Jarvis. Jarvis recommended Elisa. That's it. Next question.
No, well, the only thing that I can say is that because we're not a realtor, we do charge a fee. And the reason that we charge a fee is because you're hiring us to work for you. You are more than welcome to contact any realtors in Cartagena and Medellin. Please, I go for it. However, they will sell you anything because their interest is making their commission on the sale. The entire reason that I started this company 16, 18 months ago is because I kept seeing foreigners get ripped off over and over and over again. And it was frustrating me because Cartagena is known for foreigners getting overcharged for things. And I felt like foreigners need help through this. So I genuinely, my heart of hearts, and anybody that knows me, the type of person I am, I really like to help people. So I'm always going to protect the interest of our clients and make sure that our clients are taken care of and that they're making smart and wise investments that are going to serve them. That's the only thing that I would say that you need to know. Other than that, I mean, I smoked weed when I was like 19. Maybe that's gonna pop up at some point.
It don't matter. Half of this room smokes weed right now. Okay, so let's move on.
I mean, a need to know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I should throw in there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna move on. Are there HOA fees? If so, what's the average monthly cost? It depends. Me personally, in my building, again, I'm in a different, more gentrified area. My HOA fees is about $40, $50 a month. Mariko's HOA fees probably $100, $150 a month. Am I right, Mariko?
I don't know, Elisa. Is that right?
Elisa?
It's about 150 a month, correct?
Yeah.
So Mariko's 150, I pay 50. So Malcolm, how much do you pay?
I'm paying 40, the same. I mean, for the
He paying 40. See, so me and Malcolm live next door. We pay about 40 and 50. We're in a more gentrified neighborhood, and then Mariko is a more George Jefferson, moving on up neighborhood. So he's paying $150.
Hold up. Did you say George Jefferson?
You moving on up.
I'm like a half a block from you, closer to the beach.
But that half a block, we know in real estate, half a block can mean
Yes,
anything,
sir.
really.
Yes, sir. You're right.
So how do you sign up for services, Lisa and Lita? Just follow up with us, like Charles, we'll connect you to both of them, and then they will take care of you from there. Same as Mariko, I said Lisa and Lita, they're wonderful, and then we take care of you. And again, Lita lives in Cartagena. She's from Bogota. Elisa has been in Cartagena. Elisa was one of the first people I ever met in Cartagena, and she helped me understand the street system. She said, Jarvis, it's like New York. It's like, no, I was like, oh. Then I'm like, it's just simple. Okay, 2 more questions, then we're over time. How much is the average fee for someone to manage your property for Airbnb?
This is typically based on percentage. So it's based on a percentage either of the net or of the profit. It depends which management company that you go with, but it's always percentage. It's not a flat fee.
Great. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. So again, thank you from Elisa, her company, attorney leader, Mariko Evers, Malcolm, thank you. And again, we're here to talk about and it starts with bad property in other countries, and people have been doing this for a number of years. Now, this is our opportunity to get educated, and then once you feel comfortable, then you hit the ground running, same as Mariko. So again, Black Travel Code, Colombia, blacktravelcode.com. Here's our number, and again, Colombia, Everything is communicated through WhatsApp. So if you don't have WhatsApp, everything is communicated through WhatsApp. I talk to my dentist, my doctor, I talk to everyone on WhatsApp. So again, use WhatsApp to communicate. That's the best way to communicate. And again, reach out to us. Reach out to us if you have the funds and you're serious. Lisa and I have worked with several people that were not serious, and time, people, money. I can get more people, I can get more money, but I can never get more time. So everyone on this call, you're serious from actually joining us for this call, but now let's take the step forward to wealth build in Colombia. So again, thank you everyone, and please contact us, myself, Lita, Mariko, Malcolm, Alex, or Lisa if you have any questions. And everybody have a wonderful night and a wonderful weekend. So thank you everyone. Bye bye.